So if you are also tired of having to use a pencil and a ruler to mark the center line down the side or the face of a narrow piece of plank, then let me show you how I made this nice and handy tool with some basic and simple materials. So material wise, this is once again very simple. All I've used in the beginning was some pieces of scrap offcut wood like this. I've also used some scrap or some leftover pieces of dowel stick. These are 10mm dowel sticks. I've got a pencil with the radius of also 10mm. You can use any type of pencil, which is a clutch pencil like so, or a normal pencil, whichever you prefer. What I've also used is this homemade thumb screw. Now you don't have to make one, you can use a store-bought one as well, but if you want to make one, I'll put a video in the description of the video, or a link in the description of the video, so you can see how I made that. So that is basically everything that we're going to need for this project material wise. Okay, so to put this together, this is quite simple. Now the reason there's 4 dowel sticks would obviously be we're going to put 2 of the dowel sticks on the one end facing the one way like so, and the other 2 on the other end in the next 2 holes, not quite in the middle like so, which is going to look like that. And if you haven't figured the reason out, we'll get to the reason in a moment why we're going to do that. So I'm going to take some wood glue, and I'm simply going to put some wood glue on the ends of these dowel sticks like so. Put them in where I need them. Just tap them in with a mallet. Now the important part about these holes that you've drilled is to make sure that they are on a straight line down the middle of the plank, and that the holes are the equal distance away from the center hole in each direction. Obviously, if they are not equal distance away from the center hole where the pencil goes through, the line would not be exactly in the middle, and it would be a slight bit off center, which would defy the whole point of this thing. But should it not be exactly right, you can always adjust the pencil in the middle, maybe put a spacer on the one side to make sure that the pencil is indeed in the middle and it doesn't cause any problems a bit later on. Once you see the dowel sticks are flush with the opposite side of it, and that is basically it. So while we're waiting for that to dry, now, the thread in the wood from the side, where I've also drilled a hole, this is a M6 bolt in this case, and what I have done is I've drilled a 5mm hole for the 6mm bolt, and then obviously I need to thread the wood. Now, if you don't have a tap and a die set, which is usually normally used for steel, but what I have done is I've taken a sacrificial bolt, or a stud in this case, it's just an M6, the same as the stud, or as the bolt that I'm going to use, and opposite side of the shaft, I've made a groove. You can make this either with a hand file like this with a sharper edge, or with a hand saw, or with an angle grinder, whichever you prefer. I just made 2 grooves. You can make 3 or 4, whichever you prefer. Now the main thing is, after you've drilled the 5mm hole, obviously the hole is a bit smaller than the bolt, you can start threading this sacrificial bolt into the wood like this, and those 2 grooves that you've made will eat away the threads inside the wood and make it less resistant for the thumb screw in the end to go in there. So if you have taken this out afterwards, as we could take it out, you'll see that the little pieces of wood is going to be in the thread like that. You can scratch it out, you'll see the pieces of wood comes out, and obviously that makes a nice cleaner hole and a less resistant hole for the thumb screw to then be able to screw in to the hole like that, which is quite simple. So obviously, once that is done, we're only going to wait for the wood glue to dry, and once it's dry, we'll test this thing and see how well and effective it works. This time we're going to put a pencil in this. Like you see, this pencil basically goes in the hole, just sticks out the other end. Going to tighten this knob that I've put in through the other side. If your pencil is a slight bit thinner than the hole that you've drilled, what you want to do is take a ruler and make sure that the point of the pencil, or the tip of the pencil, is in line with the center of these 2 dowels. So with that in place, what I've got here is I've got 2 planks. This is obviously a narrow one. We're going to do the side of it using the 2 pins that's closer to each other for the narrower point. We're going to use the side. Now, the reason why we don't use the 2 wider ones is just because with the 2 narrower ones, you can come closer to the edge in marking the center line. Whereas with the longer ones, you won't be able to come as close to the edge before the line stops, because the tip will fall off the edge over there. So let us see how this works. Let's do it so you can see. You're going to put it like so, holding it straight, drawing a center line like that. We're going to turn it around and do the exact same with the other side like so. And there you'll see a center line. My pencil is a bit blunt, but if you look closer, you'll see the center line like that. Now, let's turn this tool around, put the pencil in from the other side like so. And then we're going to use a wider plank like this. We can use the same one, but this is a bit lighter, so it might show a bit clearer. And once again, check that the line is more or less straight. The pencil is in the middle. And then once again, we're going to draw a line like so. Turn it around, and then simply draw the line again the other way around. And like you can see, there we've got a center line. And there you can see that the line is down the middle of this piece of plank. Obviously, if you sharpen the point of your pencil a bit more, it'll give you a finer line, or you can use one of these flush pencils with a finer point as well, which will give you a bit of a thinner line. And that is how simple it is. A basic pencil with some basic offcut materials, and it hardly took any time. I mean, the longest that anything took here was basically for the homemade thumb screw that I've made over here. And that is basically it. Very simple method, all from pieces of scrap. We've got a sacrificial bolt here, some offcut pieces of wood, and a pencil. This can be made a bit cleaner. I haven't sanded the wood properly, but if you sand the wood and make it nice, you can basically use some oil, or you can paint this in different colors if you want to decorate it a bit better. You can make some money off these if you'd like to. Very simple to make, cost basically nothing, and you can make a decent couple of bucks off it. So until next time, thank you very much, guys.